Flight attendant refused to give black woman a menu. She calls the CEO and gets them all fired. Imagine boarding a flight, ready to enjoy a first-class experience, only to be treated like you don't belong. That's exactly what happened to Erica, a poised and accomplished consultant, when a flight attendant refused to give her a menu. The reason? It wasn't because they ran out. It wasn't because she asked late. It was something deeper, something systemic. What started as a quiet slight quickly spiraled into a much bigger issue, one that Erica knew she couldn't ignore. By the end of the journey, her actions didn't just address the situation. She called the airline's CEO directly and exposed a pattern of discrimination that shook the company to its core. What would you do if you were in Erica's shoes? Would you let it slide? Or would you stand up for yourself, knowing your actions could bring about real change? Stay with us as we unravel the story of Erica's unwavering resolve, how she dismantled bias at 300,000 feet, and the ripple effect that followed. This is a story of courage, resilience, and justice, one that proves the most powerful change often starts with a single voice refusing to stay silent. Erica Carter wasn't just any passenger. She was a respected corporate ethics consultant, known for her expertise in fostering diversity and inclusion in the workplace. For years, she had been at the forefront of creating policies that not only addressed systemic issues, but also held organizations accountable for their actions. Erica's work had taken her to boardrooms across the country, where she had faced skepticism, resistance, and at times, open hostility. But her quiet determination and unshakable resolve made her a force to be reckoned with. On this particular day, Erica was traveling to finalize a groundbreaking partnership with an airline, a deal she had worked tirelessly on for months. This agreement aimed to set new standards for equity and inclusion within the aviation industry. Little did she know, her flight would provide her with a front-row seat to the very issues she was fighting to eliminate. As Erica walked through the airport terminal, she exuded quiet confidence. Her tailored navy blazer and matching slacks accentuated her commanding presence, while her natural curls framed her face like a crown. Yet, as she approached the boarding gate, she couldn't ignore the subtle shift in energy. The brief hesitation in the gate agent's smile, the slight narrowing of their eyes. It was almost imperceptible, but Erica had trained herself to notice these microaggressions. She followed the spotlight on her. Boarding the plane, the tension only grew. First class was pristine and inviting, yet Erica could feel the weight of the stairs as she made her way to her seat. Whispers, fleeting glances, and a sense of discomfort filled the cabin. It was a question she had faced countless times in her career. Does she belong here? Taking her seat, Erica brushed off the unease, focusing on her work. She was accustomed to these moments and had learned to choose her battles carefully. But as the flight attendant began handing out menus to every passenger except her, Erica realized this was not a moment she could let slide. The subtle biases she had fought to dismantle in corporate boardrooms were now playing out in real time, on an airline she was about to partner with. This wasn't just about a menu, it was about the principle. Erica was no stranger to discrimination, but she also knew her worth and the power she held. What unfolded next would not only challenge the airline's practices, but also reaffirm Erica's mission to hold organizations accountable for their actions. Erica Carter settled into her first-class seat with the same composure she carried into corporate boardrooms. She adjusted her seatbelt, tucked her bag neatly at her feet, and pulled out her phone to catch up on work. She had been looking forward to this flight, not for the luxury, but for the rare chance to decompress before a critical meeting. Yet from the moment she boarded, she could feel the tension in the air. Subtle stares and fleeting whispers surrounded her, and though she was accustomed to this, it always left a sting. As the flight began, Erica noticed the flight attendant, a tall, immaculately dressed blonde woman making her way through the aisle, distributing menus with warm smiles and friendly small talk. The attendant handed a menu to the passenger in front of Erica, then the one across from her. Erica waited patiently, expecting her turn, but the attendant paused, glanced at Erica with an unreadable expression, and then moved on without offering her a menu. Erica waited a long expression, not recognizing anyone. For a moment, Erica sat frozen, disbelief washing over her. She glanced around the cabin and saw every other first-class passenger flipping through their menus, chatting with companions about the options. Everyone except her. Her heart tightened, but she maintained her composed exterior. Years of navigating similar moments had taught her to respond with calm authority, even when anger simmered beneath the surface. "Excuse me," Erica called out, her voice steady but firm. The flight attendant turned, her smile faltering slightly. "I believe you missed me," Erica said, gesturing to the menus. The attendant hesitated, her expression shifting. "Oh," she said, her tone overly sweet. "We're running low on copies. I'll see if I can find one for you." Without waiting for a response, she turned and walked away, her movements devoid of urgency. Erica leaned back in her seat, her grip tightening around her phone. She had experienced moments like this before: dismissiveness, subtle slights, microaggressions disguised as innocent mistakes, but this time was different. This wasn't a random interaction in public. This was first-class service, where every passenger was promised equal treatment. Minutes turned into nearly an hour, and the flight attendant never returned with the menu. When meal service began, the attendant approached Erica without even asking for her preference. "Your options are chicken or pasta," she said curtly, offering no further explanation or pleasantries. Erica's jaw tightened, but she refused to let her frustration show. "I'll have the chicken," she replied evenly. The plate was placed before her with a dismissive thud, a stark contrast to the careful attention the other passengers received. Erica glanced at her plate, a hastily arranged meal, far from the elegance displayed on trays around her. It was a small but pointed reminder of how differently she was being treated. Throughout the service, Erica noticed the disjointed energy in the cabin. Other passengers occasionally cast furtive glances her way, some curious, others uncomfortable. The flight attendant continued her rounds, her tone warm with other passengers, but cold and perfunctory with Erica. But Erica wasn't one to act out of anger. Instead, she reached for her phone and began documenting everything: the timeline of events, the words exchanged, the names on the crew's badges. She jotted down every detail with precision, knowing this wasn't an isolated incident. This was part of a larger pattern, one she was determined to address. Her mind raced as she scrolled through her contacts. The name of the airline's CEO, Jonathan Marks, stood out. They had worked together for months on a new initiative to improve inclusivity in the airline's policies. Erica knew she could call him directly, but she paused. Timing was everything. If she acted too soon, her message might be dismissed as emotional or reactionary. No, this needed to be strategic, calculated. As the flight attendant passed by again, Erica spoke once more, her voice calm but cutting. "I noticed that you've treated every other passenger here with care and professionalism. I'd like to know why I'm being excluded from that standard." "Sarah." The attendant's smile faltered again, replaced by a thinly veiled irritation. "I'm sorry if you feel that way," she said, her tone clipped. Erica simply nodded, her composed demeanor betraying none of the fire burning inside her. This wasn't just about her treatment. This was about a culture of discrimination that had gone unchecked for too long. Erica wasn't going to let it slide, not for herself, and not for the countless others who had been made to feel invisible. The fight was just beginning. Erica Carter sat in her first-class seat, her mind racing as she carefully documented every moment of the incident. Her fingers moved swiftly across her phone screen, recording the time, details of the interactions, and the exact words the flight attendant had used. She included descriptions of the dismissive tone, the lack of professionalism, and the way other passengers were treated, in stark contrast. Erica knew this wasn't just about a menu or a poorly served meal. This was about a pattern, a systemic issue she couldn't ignore. Years of consulting on corporate ethics had taught Erica the importance of evidence. Emotions were powerful, but facts were undeniable. She recorded her observations with precision, ensuring her notes would hold weight in any setting, whether in a boardroom or a public forum. As she looked around the cabin, Erica noticed the subtle reactions from other passengers. Some avoided eye contact, their discomfort palpable. Others glanced her way with fleeting curiosity. None of them intervened. It wasn't surprising, but it fueled Erica's resolve. This wasn't just her fight. It was a fight for anyone who had ever been made to feel invisible, unwelcome, or less than. Erica's thumb hovered over her contact list, scrolling down to the name that stood out. Jonathan Marks, the airline's CEO. She had worked with him for months on a partnership designed to reshape the airline's approach to diversity and inclusion. He respected her expertise, and they shared a professional rapport built on trust. But would he listen now, when the issue wasn't theoretical but personal? She took a deep breath, weighing her options. Calling mid-flight would undoubtedly draw attention. It could escalate the situation and make her seem reactive. But waiting might allow the airline's internal mechanisms to downplay the incident or sweep it under the rug. Timing was everything, and Erica's instincts told her this was a moment to act decisively. With a steady hand, she dialed Jonathan's number. The phone rang once, then twice, before his familiar voice answered. "Erica," he said, his tone warm but surprised. "I wasn't expecting to hear from you during your flight. Is everything all right?" "Not exactly," Erica replied, her voice calm yet firm. "There's an issue I need to bring to your attention, something that highlights a deeper problem within your airline." Jonathan's tone shifted immediately, becoming more serious. "Go on," he said. Erica recounted the incident in detail, her voice unwavering as she described the flight attendant's behavior, the lack of accountability, and the broader implications of such actions. She emphasized that this wasn't an isolated event but a symptom of systemic bias, the kind of issue their upcoming partnership was supposed to address. "Jonathan, this is exactly why we need to move beyond policies that look good on paper," Erica concluded. "Your staff needs real training, real accountability. This incident isn't just about me, it's about the culture your company is fostering." There was a pause on the other end of the line. Erica could hear the faint hum of conversation in the background, likely from his office. When Jonathan finally spoke, his voice was measured but resolute. "Erica, I hear you. I'll look into this personally. Thank you for bringing it to my attention." Erica ended the call with a sense of satisfaction, but knew her work wasn't done. Words were a start, but action was what mattered. She began drafting an email to her assistant, outlining a post-flight strategy. By the time the plane landed, she wanted a plan in motion to ensure this incident wouldn't be dismissed as just another passenger complaint. The remainder of the flight felt longer than it should have. Erica maintained her composure, refusing to let her frustration show. She declined further interactions with the flight attendant, choosing instead to focus on her notes. The detailed account she was compiling wasn't just a record, it was a tool, a weapon she would use to demand accountability. When the plane touched down, Erica gathered her belongings with quiet efficiency. Her head held high, she stepped off the aircraft and immediately called her assistant Maria. Within minutes, Maria had set up a meeting with Jonathan and his executive team for the next day. Erica knew this wasn't just about resolving her experience, it was about pushing for systemic change. As she entered her hotel room, Erica reviewed her notes once more, adding final details and clarifying her points. Her resolve was stronger than ever. This wasn't over. Tomorrow's meeting wouldn't just be about an apology, it would be about ensuring that no one else would have to endure what she had experienced. This was more than a personal victory. It was the beginning of a broader fight for justice and accountability. Erica was ready to face the executives, prepared to demand not only answers but action. The next morning, Erica Carter arrived at the airline's corporate headquarters, her tailored suit a perfect match for the polished, professional atmosphere of the building. She walked with purpose, her calm demeanor hiding the storm brewing beneath the surface. This wasn't her first time addressing a room of skeptical executives, and she knew exactly what to expect. The receptionist escorted Erica to the boardroom where Jonathan Marks, the CEO, waited alongside several senior executives. The tension in the air was palpable as Erica entered. Jonathan stood to greet her, his expression professional but tinged with unease. "Erica," he said, extending his hand, "thank you for coming on such short notice." She shook his hand firmly, her eyes meeting his. "Thank you for making the time, Jonathan," she replied. "I'm here because what happened on that flight wasn't just a personal slight, it's a symptom of a much larger issue." Jonathan nodded and gestured for her to take a seat. The other executives murmured polite greetings, but Erica could sense their apprehension. They likely thought this meeting would be about appeasing her with an apology and moving on. They couldn't have been more wrong. As the meeting began, Jonathan opened with a brief acknowledgement. Erica, we've reviewed your account of the incident, and I want to assure you that we take this very seriously. The flight attendant in question is being questioned, and we're conducting an internal review. Erica leaned forward, her tone measured but firm. Jonathan, I appreciate that you're taking steps to address this, but an internal review isn't enough. This isn't just about one flight attendant. It's about the culture of your airline. The behavior I experienced reflects systemic issues that need immediate attention. One of the executives, a man with graying hair and an expensive suit, interjected. Ms. Carter, with all due respect, we conduct regular inclusivity training for our staff. This seems like an isolated incident. Erica's gaze shifted to him, her expression unyielding. If it's truly isolated, why have I received messages from other passengers who've experienced similar treatment on your airline? Why does your inclusivity training result in surface-level compliance rather than meaningful change? The room fell silent. Erica continued, her voice unwavering. I'm not here to point fingers at one individual. I'm here to address the broader issue. Your policies look good on paper, but in practice, they're failing. Failing your employees, your customers, and your reputation. Jonathan cleared his throat, clearly sensing the gravity of Erica's words. What do you propose we do, Erica? We're open to suggestions. Erica leaned back slightly, exuding calm authority. I've prepared a set of recommendations. First, your inclusivity training needs to be overhauled. It's not enough to check a box. Your employees need training that fosters real understanding and empathy, starting with your leadership team. She continued. Second, your complaint handling process is outdated. Passengers like me shouldn't have to go through an ordeal to ensure their concerns are taken seriously. Transparency and accountability are key. Another executive, a woman in a sharp blazer, spoke up, her tone cautious. Erica, implementing these changes will be costly and time-consuming. We need to consider the operational impact. Erica's response was swift. And what's the cost of ignoring these issues? A lawsuit? A PR crisis? The loss of customer trust? The airline industry is fiercely competitive, and your reputation is one of your most valuable assets. You can't afford not to act. Jonathan exchanged glances with the other executives, the weight of Erica's argument sinking in. You're right, he admitted. We can't afford to let this go unaddressed. Eric nodded, but her expression remained serious. Words are a start, but action is what matters. The discussion turned to specifics. Erica laid out the steps she expected them to take. Mandatory inclusivity training for all employees, starting with management. A complete overhaul of their complaint handling process to ensure transparency and fairness. And regular reviews to measure the effectiveness of these initiatives. The executives asked questions, some probing, others defensive, but Erica remained composed, answering each one with clarity and conviction. By the end of the meeting, there was no doubt that she had made her case. Jonathan spoke again, his tone resolute. Erica, we'll begin implementing your recommendations immediately. The flight crew involved will face disciplinary action, and I'll personally oversee the rollout of these changes. Erica inclined her head slightly. Thank you, Jonathan. I'll be watching closely to ensure follow-through. This isn't just about fixing one incident. It's about preventing the next one. As the meeting concluded, Erica rose from her seat, gathering her notes with quiet efficiency. The executives stood as well, some offering polite goodbyes, others avoiding her gaze. Erica wasn't here to make friends. She was here to make change. Jonathan walked her to the door. Erica, I want you to know that your feedback is invaluable. We'll make this right. She paused, looking him in the eye. Making it right isn't a one-time fix, Jonathan. It's a commitment to doing better, every day. She left the boardroom, her heels clicking against the polished floor as she walked out. The tension in the room had been palpable, but Erica felt a sense of accomplishment. This was just the beginning. Real change would take time and persistence. But she had done what she came to do, hold the powerful accountable, and set the wheels of progress in motion. In the days following the boardroom confrontation, the airline moved swiftly to address the issues Erica Carter had raised. The first action was immediate. The flight crew involved in the incident, including the lead flight attendant, was placed on administrative leave pending further investigation. Jonathan Marks, the CEO, issued a company-wide memo underscoring the importance of inclusivity and respect for all passengers, regardless of background. The airline announced a comprehensive overhaul of its inclusivity training program, starting at the top. Erica's recommendations were adopted, mandating leadership to participate in workshops designed to foster empathy and recognize implicit biases. Unlike the previous superficial training sessions, these workshops were crafted to provoke meaningful discussions and drive real change in the company's culture. In addition, the complaint handling process underwent significant reform. A new system was introduced to ensure transparency and accountability, with a dedicated task force assigned to investigate complaints thoroughly and efficiently. Passengers would now receive clear updates on the status of their concerns, and patterns of unprofessional behavior among staff would be flagged for immediate corrective action. The airline also committed to conducting regular audits to assess the effectiveness of these changes. Erica had insisted that progress be measurable, and the company agreed to publish annual reports detailing their advancements in equity and inclusion. For Erica, the reforms were a step in the right direction, but she knew this was just the beginning. Real change would take time, consistency, and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths. Still, she felt a sense of accomplishment, knowing her actions had set the stage for systemic improvements. This wasn't just about her experience. It was about creating a better environment for every passenger who came after her. Reflecting on the events, Erica was reminded of the power of persistence and accountability. Corporations often relied on polished policies and public relations to project an image of inclusivity. But it took voices like hers to ensure those promises translated into meaningful action. Change wasn't convenient or easy, but it was necessary, and it started with holding those in power accountable. As Erica reviewed the airline's public statement about the reforms, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. The company had acknowledged its shortcomings and taken steps to address them. But her work wasn't done. She had seen firsthand how fragile progress could be, and she resolved to continue pushing for accountability, not just in the airline industry, but in every space where inequity persisted. This incident had been a catalyst, but the fight for equity was far from over. For Erica, this was just one battle in a much larger mission, one she was ready to keep fighting. A few days later, Erica Carter sat in a quiet cafe near her hotel, savoring a brief moment of calm. Her coffee steamed gently in the late afternoon sunlight, and she gazed out the window, reflecting on the whirlwind of events that had unfolded. The airline's public statement about their reforms was circulating, and Erica had received messages of support from people who had followed the story. For the first time in days, she felt a flicker of hope. As she reached for her notebook, a voice interrupted her thoughts. "Excuse me, are you Erica Carter?" Erica looked up to see a young woman standing nearby, clutching a cup of tea. She appeared nervous but determined, her expression a mixture of admiration and curiosity. "Yes, I am," Erica replied, her calm demeanor inviting the woman to continue. "I saw your story online," the woman said, her voice steady but soft. "What you did, it was incredible. I've experienced similar things, but I've never had the courage to speak up. Seeing you stand your ground made me realize I don't have to stay silent." Erica smiled, a warmth spreading through her. "Thank you," she said. "Speaking up isn't easy, but it's necessary. Change starts when we refuse to accept what's wrong, even if it's uncomfortable." The young woman nodded, her resolve clear. "I just wanted to thank you for showing me that it's possible." As the woman walked away, Erica couldn't help but feel a renewed sense of purpose. Her fight had sparked something bigger than herself. It was a reminder that every action, no matter how small, could inspire others to stand up for what's right. To everyone watching this story, let Erica's journey remind you. One voice can create ripples of change. Stand up against injustice, support those who need it, and be the change you want to see. Together, we can make a difference. Collaboration and support from many improves progress in limiting the number of people helpless by opioids.